Watching talk radio this morning, they were discussing the adoption of the role of Anne Boleyn by Jodie Turner Smith in a new Channel 5 series. Um, the discussion was why did they put a black person in as Anne Boleyn when Anne Boleyn certainly wasn't black. There was a member of the panel. It was a lady with short blonde hair. I don't know who she was. I'd never seen her before. And she was arguing that this makes absolutely no difference because it's acting. That this was her argument, that it's acting. If there's anything we know about Anne Boleyn, she wasn't black. And the guys on the panel, they objected, but it wasn't a hill that they were willing to die on. This was literally the hill that I would die on. Even though I'm Irish, I love English history. Like, I love English history more than any topic uh, in the world. I've studied English history since I was very young, and I have a thing for historical accuracy in general. Um, that stupid show Bridgerton on Netflix, my mom loves it. She doesn't understand why I won't watch it. There were no black dukes walking around in the 18th century. Um, People think that if something is a work of fiction, you can put anything into it, but you can't rank order fiction unless it has some relation to reality. Unless it's the bar in Star Wars, where on planet whatever it was, when literally anything can walk in the door, any shape, color, size, it doesn't even have to look like anything. Then you will get away with it. But if you set a show um, in a realistic historical paradigm, like you know, um, the 1700s in London, for example, that was a real place and looked a certain way. Um, you can't have a motorbike going by because they didn't exist then. Black dukes didn't exist then or now in England. So, what are they doing there? And this is nothing against black people. I have nothing against black people. I love them. If there was a show in Botswana, I don't want to see a white person in it, to be quite honest with you. I have a thing for historical accuracy, and nothing gets on my wick more than the gratuitous rewriting of history. The worst I've seen in recent times was the Queen of Scots film with Saoirse Ronan in the main role, an Irish actress, but they portrayed Elizabeth I, who is probably England's greatest ever monarch. Uh, no, was England's greatest ever monarch, unambiguously. And they portrayed her, as, you know, in movie slang, the bad guy or the bad girl or whatever. And it was just galling for anyone with any kind of view of history. It was just, first of all, they didn't meet. Mary Queen of Scots and Elizabeth the First never met. She was imprisoned in Fotheringay for 19 years. Was extraordinarily reluctant to sign the death warrant. Was convinced to do so by Walsingham and William Cecil mostly, actually. I'm digressing here. And all of her court. I mean, there was like 3 or 4 black people in her court. There was a gay person, and then this gay thing came out, and everyone was so tolerant of their sexual orientation. Are you in the 1500s? Are you serious? Um, it comes down to this. Personally, with me, I want to look at history the way it was. not the way I wish it should have been. Maybe it would have been a better thing if Mary Queen of Scots had some gay and black people in her court. I'm not saying that that was good or bad. I'm not making a judgment on that either way. Maybe it would have been a better thing, but I want to see it the way it was, warts and all, not the way I think it should have been. um, so history wasn't, 21st century Europe. It just wasn't. History wasn't politically correct. It was like a scene from the UN. That film. Up until the 1950s, England was racially homogenous, with a few exceptions. A very small Chinese community. There were some blacks, but it really some Jews, but mainly 99.9% white. And that's the way it was until the Empire Windrush in the 50s. Um, I'm not making a judgment about it. It's not. I'm not saying it was good or bad. It's just an observation that is the way it was. So if I watch an Anglo-Saxon film about, you know, Alfred the Great or whatever, and there's black people in it, it really annoys me because they weren't there. It's not that I have anything against black people. Of course I don't. It's the accuracy of what I'm looking at, and I think it's all part of this left-wing woke agenda to rewrite history and to make out that black people were there in Britain all the way along. That Britain has never been racially homogenous, which is just a lie. Ireland was the exact same. Are they going to do it with Ireland next? I don't know. What happens in England comes to Ireland eventually. Um, I think it's an absolute disgrace, and people are saying, "Oh, why do you care? It's a black actress. She's very good. She's playing Anne Boleyn." I've nothing against her. It's this whole movement to rewrite history. If you're looking at put it this way, James Bond is a fictional character. If Idris Elba wanted to play James Bond, which I think he does, um, I'm all for it. Absolutely, I think he would make a great James Bond. If I could pick anyone, I would pick Idris Elba. He's black, because James Bond is a fictional character. It doesn't make any difference what his skin color is. But when you talk about someone from history, that's an actual person. You know, do we get a white guy to play Chairman Mao in the next film about the Cultural Revolution? I don't think so. And it has to be, a character has to be believable. When you look at a historical character, when you look at the screen, you have to be convinced that it's them. And the one thing that you're going to see, the first thing you will see, is her skin color. And she's very black. I mean, it's going to say, well, Anne Boleyn didn't look like that. Any credibility the show has is gone. It undermines it in ways that I can't even go into here. It just completely discredits the show, in my opinion. And just one final thing on that. This all seems to run one way. And this is what really gets me. It really grinds my gears about this, because you never see it go the other way. You never see, okay, well, we have to get a white guy to play Nelson Mandela or Barack Obama or, Muhammad Ali or Martin Luther King would be a bad example given what he fought against, but a famous black person from the past. We got to get a white guy in there. It'll never happen like that. It's always the rewriting of white history. It's never the other way around. And that really gets to me, because I mean, we should all be equal everyone more or less has equality now. So why does this huge double standard exist? Um, Show history the way it was, um, and children will look at this with a completely distorted view of the way things were, and think that, well, black people have always been in Britain and Ireland and whatever, when it's simply not true.